Well, I am participating in the Sew Along. It's the Brave and True Americana Sew Along that's sponsored by Fat Quarter Shop. And I thought I'd show you how I am putting my blocks together for this sew along. The first four blocks that I'm making right now are the log cabin blocks, and I am using the Fat Quarter Shop's log cabin quilt block foundation papers. And with that, it gives you like a precise 12 and a half block, 12-inch finished block. And so we'll start off this block, and you don't really have to use the papers. You can make a log cabin blocks without the papers, but with this sew along, Fat Quarter Shop is having you use the papers, and I decided to go ahead and use the papers in order to make sure that my blocks were precise. So the first two pieces that you're going to use on this are 2.5 by 2.5 square inch blocks. So I used the fabric that I used for this quilt along is actually fabric that's out of my stash. I had some Americana fabrics that I decided to use versus purchasing more. And actually currently right now I'm in a no-buy zone right now. And so I have Americana fabric, so I decided to just use what I have. So like I said, the first two blocks here are 2.5-inch square. So my dark is going to be this red fabric that I have, and then my light fabric is a 2.5-inch square. And the dark one, the red one, is your placement number 1, and your light one is placement number 2. Then the next piece that I just put on is my light piece, and that's my placement number 3, and that is 2.5 by 4.25. When I went ahead and I cut all my strips out, I actually did this 4.5 because I wasn't paying attention, but it doesn't matter because when you're doing the pattern, since it is paper piece, you're going to be sewing on the lines, and so it's going to be exactly how it's going to be. So then the next piece that I'm placing right now is my placement number 4, and placement number 4 piece is a 2.5 by 4.25 also. And what's good about using this pattern too is if you have a jelly roll and you decide to do it scrappy, each one of them being different, having your lights on one side, your darks on the other side, it doesn't have to be red, white, and blue. And this pattern is perfect for that. But what I decided to do was, instead of doing really scrappy, I'm doing my I'm doing 3 fabrics of light, 3 fabrics of dark, and then my red in the center. So my next one will be another dark, and this is my placement number 5. And this one is a 2.5 by 6.25. And also, I just wanted to mention that using this foundation paper, if you wanted to get into foundation paper piecing, this is one of the easiest patterns for learning foundation paper piecing, is doing this log cabin block. And with foundation paper piecing, it's I don't know, it's kind of funny because you're placing your fabric on one side and stitching on the other side. But with you stitching on the other side, you're stitching actually on the lines, and that's what gives you the precision on your piecing so that everything comes out perfectly. Now what I like to do is I like to pin each piece. Some people don't pin, some people glue, but I just prefer to pin because I'm a pinner. So now my first round is complete. Now to start the second round. And the second round, I'm doing the light colors, and I have placement number 6. Placement number 6 is 2.5 by 6.25. And placement number 7 is 2.5 by 7.75. this is placement number 8, and this is my dark flat fabric, and this is 2.5 by 7 3/4. Placement number 8. Also with this pattern, I decided to show you in real time some of the piecing versus speeding it up, so you can actually see kind of how long this pattern takes. And so it took me, or this block, it took me around 15 minutes for each block. This one is placement number 9, and this is 2.5 by 9.5. Again, I am pinning all of my pieces before I go ahead and sew, just to make sure that they stay in place, because I don't want anything to flip. The first time I did it, I did have one of my pieces flip, and that's because I didn't pin, but I'm pinning. And then also using my seam roller. Now I am actually getting ready to start the final row of the block, and so I have my light color, which is placement number 10, and this one is 2.5 by 9.5. And so what's great about this is you can cut all your fabrics out ahead of time for each one of these, placements, and then when you go ahead and start sewing, then you just sew. You don't have to cut and sew. You have it all cut ahead of time. And so my final piece on my light fabric is placement number 11, and that is 2.5 by 11. That's the final piece on my for placement number 11 on my light side. Yes, and what I typically do is I'll use my seam roller or I'll finger press, but then when I get to the final, after the block is completely finished, and that's when I'll do when I press it out. I try not to press too much because it is on paper, and so I don't want to really press too much on paper, so that's why I use my seam roller or I'll finger press. And this is my final piece, which is 2.5 by 11, which is placement number 11 on the light fabric. Side is complete. Now to finish with my dark fabrics, and I have 2 more quiltings for that, which is placement number 12 and placement number 13. placement number 12, which is a dark fabric, is 2.5 by 11. We're almost done. Just 2 more seams and this block is complete. Alright, one more piece and we're done. And so we just have our last placement, which is placement number 13. And that one is going to be 2.5 by 13 and 1/4. Our final piece. Again, this is the Brave and True Americana Sew-Along, sponsored by Fat Quarter Shop. You can get all the details from their website, and you can also buy the foundation papers for the log cabin. Next week, I will be doing 2 of the stars, and then the following week, 1 more star, and then we're making a table runner, and this table runner will be complete. So the sew along it runs through the month of April 2025, and this is my block, all complete. And so what I did was I completed all 4 blocks, the log cabin blocks. So what's left is the 3 star blocks, but next week we do 2, and then the following week just 1, and then we assemble the table runner. So along with us and have fun. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Bye-bye.